Good afternoon and welcome to another chat today about Zamboni product. My name is Doug Peters. I'm joined by Scott Douglas and Marty Elliott out of our Canadian plant. And today we are going to be talking about Zamboni Connect. It's something that the Zamboni company came out with about 3 years ago and has captured the attention of a lot of the rink personnel with what it can do for them to make their life easier by utilizing it, give them the ability to be off-site and yet still monitor how things are going with the machine's performance and its operation.
Zamboni Connect delivers data collected using sensors on your machine to a mobile and web-based application that displays and stores the information. Built for ease of use and to allow management insight into daily activities as well as historic data. Monitor trends and activity. Ice making water use. Speed. Maintenance activities. Energy consumption and battery performance of electric powered machines. Fuel consumption and engine performance of fuel powered machines. Diagnostic trouble codes via online or mobile alerts. Zamboni Connect lets you listen to your machine. It provides a place for your team to collaborate. Let's rejoin the conversation with our team describing how the Zamboni Connect system is helping facilities with new access to data and training tools to optimize your machine's performance and longevity.
When my dad was working for the North Stars 100 years ago when I was young, they didn't have the technology that we have today that might have, if it was available back then, might have enabled him to not have to spend as much time in the building. He would have been able to monitor things like the refrigeration system, different aspects of the building, and the ice resurfacer. And that's really what Zamboni Connect does. I talk to our customers and let them know that they can be sitting at their cabin, as they refer to it in Minnesota, or as the cottage up in Canada there, and sit on their deck and have a barley pop and be able to tap in and see how things are going with the machine. They can see how many gallons of water got put down the last resurface, how much time they spent out in the ice, how fast they were driving. And one thing that I've got from you, and I don't know if you want to expand on that a bit, is the training aspect of it. That's something I hadn't thought about when I initially started promoting this product to customers, but I think Matt, in his conversation with us, talked about how they did that with training their operators with the Connect product.
Yeah, and that is one of the big selling features of the system, because you go into rinks, you and Scott, you guys know this. You walk into a rink and you see the bowl effect, and you're going, okay. And this would be on a Monday. In most cases, the experienced operators usually work days during the week, and the part-time operators are working on weekends that don't have enough seat time. So it allows, without pointing fingers, the system allows management to understand, okay, who's been on the machine, and let's take a look at one category. Let's take a look at the floodwater usage. And I mean, if they're putting out, if they're doing a 7-minute flood and they're putting out 180 gallons based on the machine, well, something's not right. There's a disconnect there, and that's a training issue. Most times, I'm looking at floodwater usage, and it's always high. Unless they're building their ice for an event or something, I get it. But when I'm training operators out in the field, at a single pad, maintaining 1.25 inches of ice, you only need to fill your floodwater tank up halfway and open up your valve halfway, and you're maintaining what you're cutting. And so it's a great training tool. And management, they look at that and they're going, wow, that answers a lot of questions. And the operators, they'll go, well, Big Brother's watching me. No, Big Brother's not watching you. What we're doing is trying to make you better at what you want to do and what you are doing.
Yeah, I think it kind of goes to pretty much anybody can be a driver, but not everybody can be an ice maker. And I think this tool really helps the people who want to perfect their craft and know what they're doing. And the younger generation, like you, Scott, are into this technology and something that you guys are all used to. So maybe you can let us know what you see or hear from your age bracket.
Yeah, for regards to the training, I think it's also really beneficial to show operators data or a visual graph of how much water they're using. And then if someone just tells, or we're doing training where I say lay less water, maybe they'll turn it down a quarter or a half. Maybe that's still too much water. First, for them to do a good flood, or make sure the bowl's not building up, especially on weekends, they can then say, they can look at the data and then from there incorporate that into their training. And then for staff and management, they're able to see who's based on the flood time, who is driving the machine, and then if that particular staff member might need more training, or maybe they're not listening to the training, and then having just the visual data can show them like, this is what we're doing, this is what some of your other coworkers are doing. So it's kind of builds into the facility bond of making a good sheet of ice, because Doug, you and Marty could work the weekdays, and then me and my schoolmates could work on the weekends, Friday nights and the weekends, and we could put down all kinds of water in the corners, and then you and Marty are getting your easy 3 out Monday morning to cut those corners down. Whereas then if we were able to see the data, like, okay, so this is what these guys are doing, and I want to operate the machine like they do with lots of experience, I can have a visual representation of what I should strive for to make the best quality sheet of ice.
Down here in the States, we've got, depending on the part of the country, you can have a hockey association that runs the rink. And they have to, the parents of the kids that are utilizing the facility have to donate time. And some of those end up being operators of the machine. And they might drive the machine 2-3 times a month. And this tool is really going to help them. And it's another selling point that I go out with the people. If you've got 10 drivers, which might be light for some facilities, might be too many for others, and you've got 8 of them doing the pace and the flood amount that you want, and you've got 2 that aren't, you can bring it to their attention and say, hey, this is what we're trying to achieve. And I would think, Scotty, maybe with guys your age group, they might be so in tune with the technology that when they come off the ice, they want to back up saying, hey, I did a good job on the ice. Let me check, and I can check the data that comes from Connect and see if it verifies what they believe or not.
And just to take it a step further, I'll give you a real life situation back here in Ontario. Customer that has Zamboni Connect, they were reaching out to me, and this was last year, complaining that their ice was wavy. So troubleshooting with them, dull blades, all the things, down pressure, checking all that, and everything was great. And then I said, so is this all the time? And he goes, no, it's just on weekends. We come in Monday and we got wavy ice. I went, oh, okay. So I checked the machine, and the operator who was working that weekend, it wasn't every weekend, and there's one operator that's doing a 5-minute flood. And I'm going, well, the machine, if you're doing a 5-minute flood, you're probably going about 8 miles an hour. Average speed should be about 5 to have proper, have the machine do the proper cut. And if you're going too fast, you could end up with wavy ice. So identified that operator and just managing, they're busy and they have to deal with dressing rooms and customer service and all that. It makes sense. So reached out to the operator with the manager and said, just showing you this and letting you be aware of what's going on and the effects of driving too fast, what's happening to the ice. And he goes, yeah, my ice is always wavy. I said, well, do me a favor. Go out, and it was on a 500 machine, so I had them use the transmission forward, reverse, neutral, where they put the actual handle on the decal, back tires, and foot pedal all the way to the post. That's about 5 miles an hour average, and he drove that speed the whole time. Perfect sheet of ice. There you go. Not having Zamboni Connect, not being able to identify, we could, they could have gotten into expenses of, fulcrum arms and all bushings and all those different things that a lot of the times are the case. But we just identified, because of Zamboni Connect, one operator that was driving 8.5, 9 miles an hour. So it was a definite benefit.
One other thing you were mentioning just about having the feedback, the immediate feedback of knowing, Doug, you could say, Scott, turn down your water, and then I could, maybe you're outside the building and I'm like, okay, maybe I'll turn the handle down this much, but what does that equate to? How many gallons less am I putting down? So then by looking at my floods, I'm able to determine that if I turn it a quarter, I'm using, let's say 50 gallons less. Or let's say I'm filling the hot water tank all the way to the top and I'm only ending up using half of the water by the end of it. By the next time I'm doing my next flood, that hot water is now cooled and it's not going to lay the best sheet of ice. So using the data, you can get the immediate feedback and you can really start to see the importance of kind of resource management. If I'm heating water to make ice and then I'm just dumping half of it down, I'm able to kind of see how many gallons of water or how many pop bottles, or make a quick little math equation, but it's very quick to see how much money you can save with proper training and just understanding what the machine does, and just the visual of the data and just the immediate feedback is a great help, because you can tell me drive slower, how slow, use less water, how much less water. I'm able to you're able to pass it on to the operators, and they're able to kind of maybe understand it in a different way versus just, do this, do that, do this, and then show them the data, or try this and then show them how much to turn the water down. So it's just a great feedback that training is much easier when you have the results.
Yeah,
almost a science.
And I think one of the things, if I recall correctly, or maybe it wasn't the guys at Ice Den, but the water consumption. In our world, a perfect ice resurface would be putting down how much water you're shaving up. Now, the amount you shave up can be dictated by how much surface snow is out there by the user group. It can be how much ice was lost via evaporation. But with water costs getting more and more, and living out here in California and having to go through the drought that we went through that finally ended a few years ago, the cost of that water, it's not just the water. Most places, they tie their sewage rates to the water. So for every gallon of water that you're putting on an ice rink, they think that's going down the sewer pipe, and you're getting charged for that. So this is a great opportunity for people to better monitor what they're putting down, which should translate to a more consistent ice surface and lower energy costs. So I think now operators having less time because they've got other cleaning stuff that they're having to do, and the cost of stuff, that this is going to help them save money in their operation and return on their investment, which is not a very expensive feature.
Let's talk about dashboard. Every new machine that leaves the building, whether they decide to have Zamboni Connect as a full package, if they choose not to, they still have access to dashboard. And maybe Scott, you can talk a little bit about dashboard and some of the features of that part of the system.
Yeah, so the dashboard allows customers to have all of their manuals in one place. Instead of having the paper manual, you can have all your parts books, your service schedule, fault codes are all listed there, so it's quick and easy to find. It's very important to have things in a central location where they're accessible, whether they're in the facility or whether you're at home. So they're available 24/7, anywhere with an internet connection. You can hop on and pull all the information on your machine, as well as there's a few notes. So let's say I finish a flood and I notice that there's some shaking in the auger, and you come in, Marty, and you notice that shaking is no longer there. I might not have been washing out my augers, and then that's a quick little diagnosis for what I thought could have been an issue, or if it continues, we know we're on it and we can get that rectified quickly.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the communication capabilities of just dashboard itself amongst the operations team and management and fleet, valuable, just huge. And that specifically about the actual issues that might occur mechanically with the machine. I mean, if fleet is a sub user or primary user, they can see that and they can be on top of it and be proactive, so that the costs are not rising as people don't pay attention to things due to urgency. And when you don't pay attention to things, other things actually go south and mechanically start breaking as well.
That's one of the things that I've talked to customers that get Zamboni Connect, and strongly suggest to them that they get a tablet for their surfacer room that is dedicated for the Zamboni Connect. They can spend the money on an iPad if they want to do that, but you can get less expensive tablets that are out there that will access the information. And hopefully what you do is get the operators into the practice of recording the information, and it gives you an electronic data to have available. And that's something that I recall in our conversation with Matt and his guys at the ice den, was that their ability to record that information.
We also use the maintenance log section to record anything that gets done to the ZAM, whether it's, anything from a blade change, a grease, to impeller, or even anything to do with the engine that our mechanic DJ with gearhead equipment might do. So anything that gets done, all has to be done, recorded in that maintenance log, which has been great. All that before was all on paper. And the machines that we still have one machine in each building that is not on Zamboni Connect. So those still have paper, but we still tell the guys, if it says on Zamboni Connect that it needs to be, whatever maintenance is that needs to be done, you have to do it to the other machine as well. And then you still have to just log that it was done to that machine.
They were pretty critical about how they wanted their ice to be, which is great. It's nice to have customers that are that concerned about things. And they would analyze they would self-analyze their ice surface. They would record the information, and they would also have that available if they had a user group or a user that was on the ice that was complaining about it, and they could say, hey, this is how we graded ourselves out. This is the data to back that up based on information that was extrapolated from the sensors on the machine. And just a great tool, I think, for customers to use. And again, I don't want to keep beating the drum of the dinosaur versus the young people, but I think the younger operators are more in tune with this type of technology. And it doesn't mean that older people can't adapt to it. They can. It's just that they're used to it. They've grown up with it. You know, we didn't grow up, Marty, you and I, you're a tad younger than I am, but we didn't grow up with phones or the computers that we walk around with attached to our belts like Scotty has. I mean, I'm going to guess that it wasn't in your 20s or 30s when you finally got a phone, Scott.
No,
Correct me if I'm wrong.
It was my grade 8 graduation present, so I could text my parents when I was coming home from school. So I remember the time before computers, but it's
my grade 8 graduation. Sorry, Scotty. It's just funny because
a hairbrush.
I think no. We went from rotary to push button on our phones.
Grade 8, or was that grade 8 in college?
Oh, ouch.
Because you're up there in Canada, eh?
That's a good one. That's a good one. Scott, you've witnessed this when I've been in facilities and training. Changing a blade. I mean, best practices, SOP to change a blade. Where are they documenting everything? If you're doing best practices and changing a blade, you're measuring the width of the blade. Are you documenting that? The rotation of the blade on a 4-week rotation, are you documenting that? All this information can be actually put in the log so that management knows when that blade was changed, who changed it, what the width of the blade was, and it's just, again, coming back to expectations, but it's backed up. There's information that people can read and look, and if it's used properly, it allows. If you have to troubleshoot, I'll go back to troubleshooting with an issue with the ice, with the machine itself, by having that documentation available to all people involved. It takes that troubleshooting, if you will, from here, maybe back to here. Prime example, what the fellow was doing, our customer driving too fast, creating wavy ice. So yeah, it's definitely a bonus. And like Scott, you had mentioned, all the manuals and all the training tools that are available on there. I mean, how many different manuals and training tools are available, Scotty?
Pretty well everything you would need at home and in the facility. You can do a lot just by looking at the books, and anything you really might need to do that you traditionally do at the facility can be done remotely now, and it's a great feature, and it really just helps everyone in the facility to get on the same page to put the best quality sheet of ice down. Because I know I've sent it this before, but you and Doug could cut great ice all week, and I can just wreck it with one quick, fast flood with lots of water, and then it takes time and resources to get it back to where it was, and then you want to correct this or have a permanent solution, or so I'm not wrecking the ice again for you guys to fix again. So,
well, it certainly wouldn't be intentional.
And that's something that database of electronic information, I think, is a big thing. And I wish a lot of this stuff would have been available when I first started with Zamboni, because it would have been great to pass along a video or say, hey, Mr. Customer or Miss Customer, go to this website and click on this link, and you'll be able to understand how to service your wash water pump, or how to put a blade on using the blade changing device, or how does the Connect system work. There are so many more things that we've developed and are using technology today to help the customers, and that's just it's a great thing. And I know, again, Scott, your generation is striving. You know, they're looking for that kind of information. I think they expect it from suppliers
Oh, definitely.
nowadays. You know,
Well, for instance, I was just going to say this past weekend I sharpened my lawnmower blade, and then looking up how to properly balance it, first thing I did was went on YouTube, looked up how to properly balance my lawnmower blade, and attached it, and had no issue. So whenever I'm kind of questioning something, or if I don't want to attach it incorrectly, I just want that little verification of this is how you're supposed to do it, and then getting that from the manufacturer, I think, will help a lot of customers, especially if young or newer staff want to learn how to start to change the board brush or have to change the wash water pump. But there was a long time standing that the knowledge didn't always filter down, but now the knowledge is we're going to build it up from the ground, and then it's going to be readily available for anyone who wants it or anyone who's looking to further their development.
Have you got any customers in the States that have had their machines post-sale have Zamboni Connect retrofitted on the machine yet?
We have. We've had a few. As a matter of fact, one of our dealers down in Florida, Dave Westcott, installed a couple of the systems on machines for the Nashville Predators. And it hasn't been an abundance of that. We have not gone back in time to do it to other machines. It's something that we're taking a look at. I think one of the things that you've been doing a lot of is getting people hooked up to dashboard. Maybe you can explain a little bit more, Scott can, either or, about how a customer who maybe has older machines, what they need to do to reach out to us to get hooked up to dashboard so that they can experience some of that experience.
You want to take that one, Scotty?
Sure. Yeah, all they really need to do is just send us their facility name, some of their team members. Let's say if Marty or you or Doug are the manager, and then it could be myself and some other people that are working. And then all we have to do, set you up as the primary user, and then you could enter us as team members, and then we could create an account for Scott. I could log in and quickly say that I changed the blade on this day, or daily greasing was done today. So just all you really need is the facility name, your team members, and then just reach out to any of the sales staff if you'd like to get on, and then we can get you hooked up and get everything, get you rolling for the dashboard. It's very quick and easy. Not a lot of information is required to get set up for dashboard.
One of the things I wanted to touch on a little bit, Marty, that you had brought up about with the fleet is that sometimes facilities down here in the States, they will have their fleet department working on the machines. It's a little different down here than it is up in Canada. And some of those, it gets to be where there could be a game of telephone tag trying to get the rink manager to reach the fleet department, and the fleet department trying to get back to the rink. And this can send a notification to the fleet department, or they can be monitoring how many hours are on it. So they can take a look and say, hey, I need to schedule. I'm approaching 150 hours and I know I need to do an oil change, or I'm approaching 50 hours and I know I need to do this. They can actually look into the machine and not depend on the rink manager either being on vacation or whatever the situation may be, not getting a hold of them. And it should help them be doing a better job of staying on top of the maintenance, which, again, you stressed, and I think that it's really important for the customers to know that if they stay on top of doing the preventative maintenance, it's going to reduce the expense that's needed to be spent on taking care of something that didn't need to break.
I'll speak to the City of London, 14 machines. Fleet department, they own them, and they're certainly proactive with the machines. But I mean, Barry Galloway for the City of London, he can look at those machines anytime he wants, and he knows exactly what's going on, what service has been done, and he can communicate with the arena managers or park and rec director to carry it through. So it's, again, coming back to a great communication tool as well.
Marty, I don't know if you want to touch on it a little bit about the different modules that are available for the data collection to let people know what is out there.
I'll pull up just the modules themselves on a electric machine. It'll identify electric consumption, battery charge time, battery temperature, charge duration, and then the typical ones, which are on both electric and fossil fuel, ice making, floodwater usage, and speed. And then it has diagnostic trouble codes, and then your maintenance log. That would be on an electric. And then if you go back to a fossil fuel, modules that we speak of, fuel consumption, engine coolant temperature, and again, floodwater speed, RPMs, and diagnostic trouble codes.
Well, in those codes too, Marty, that's something that that fault code can be sent as an alert to the fleet or whoever on the admin side of things, so that they know what's going on. It's something that we can get the information as well, and work with the customer to help them through what might be a small thing that could eventually become a big thing. So that kind of data collection is important, I think, in helping the customer understand what's going on with the machine and to get it back up in operation as quick as possible.
I know with Doug probably first started the Zamboni, we've come an incredibly far way in terms of what technology is on the machines. I know the last time we kind of all got together, we talked about the history of the electric machines and just seeing how far those have gone. The machine information now used to just be contained in the little ice resurfacer room on the machine itself. However, now you can access it anywhere you can. If there was any fault codes that were to come up that we were just talking about, those are accessible via alerts or via signing in on the web app. So it's no longer just contained to the ice resurfacer room to kind of understand the machine. And it's now just almost a global, you can, anywhere you want, you can kind of see how your machine's doing. Maybe it's for monitoring, maybe it's for training, resource consumption, savings. The list of tools is virtually endless. And then as the technology continues to grow, it will only improve, and the customer experience will only get better and better. And the more feedback we get, we're starting to implement. And it's exciting to see where it'll go and just how far the machines have come. It's exciting to see what the future brings.
Hey, Doug, by the way.
Yes, sir.
Happy anniversary.
Thank you.
33 years. For our listeners, I'm going to say you would be outside of the Zamboni family. You're probably in the top 5 of tenure, no?
There's down to, we had one of our welders retire, and he had been there since '69. He retired within the last year. Richard Zamboni is the #1 in seniority at the plant in Paramount, and then Donald and I are neck and neck. So yeah, wow. It just means I'm old, Marty, and a dinosaur. And go back to Scott's comment. Yeah, I think we're not using paddle and chain anymore on the full size machines. Just on the 100s and the 200s. But
you've come a long way.
I was going to say, was that the Type J model when you started? I had to throw one at you.
That's okay, man. I lob them at you all the time. So I appreciate the comebacks. It's you got to have thick skin in life. That's the way I look at things. But
amen.
I think if people take a look at this product, and I don't know what comes when you get the feedback from your customers, but when I tell them that they can access the product from outside the building, and again, users that are out there, operators, drivers, don't be viewing this as Big Brother looking out to try to point out your errors. Look at it as a tool that gives your bosses the ability to see what's going on in their building and your building, because the product that everybody's putting out there that they're selling to the user groups is not the nachos, it's not the popcorn, it's not the hot chocolate, it's the ice surface. And as Frank Zamboni said, the product that we have to sell is the ice itself. And I'm paraphrasing, I'm not stating that correctly, but if we can provide you with tools to better do your job, better monitor how the machine's working, I think that's a success for us, and hopefully a success for you, and makes their life and job easier. So I appreciate you guys taking the time to join this conversation, and I appreciate everybody that listens into it. I'm the dinosaur in the group. We've got a couple of the younger guys that are with us. Thank you very much, Marty, and thank you very much, Scott, for all of your input on this. And we look forward to doing another one of these presentations for you soon. And if you've got any suggestions or you want to know more about product options or tools, please let us know, and we'll be happy to try to put together a presentation just like this on those topics.
You can also check out our website at zamboni.com/connect. All the information is there. And again, we're not trying to shy away from phone calls. You can reach us anytime, whether it's service, parts, sales, or you just want someone to talk to. We're here to listen and pick up the phone.
One last thing I want to throw in there: if you ever get tired of hearing our voices, make sure you tune in to Ask the Zamboni Experts and listen to different topics that we've done. I'm just so excited that we just released one on Luke Robitaille. It was a great experience for me to get to chat with the highest scoring left winger in history, and as I dubbed him, the best 171st draft pick ever in the history of the NHL. That was just released this week. So tune into those. You'll get to hear Marty talking about his passions, one of which is level ice, and learn about that product. But thank you very much, gentlemen. It's been a pleasure.